The cave stood before me like an open mouth, dark, endless, and breathing cold air that smelled of rust and old sorrow. The snow at its entrance was melted, not by warmth, but by something else, something that made the ground pulse faintly beneath my boots, as if the mountain itself had a heartbeat. I should have turned back. I should have sealed the place and let the dead have their peace. But that's not what monster hunters do. We go where others won't, not because we're brave, but because we have nothing left to lose. Inside, my torch sputtered in the wind, the flame bending as though afraid of the dark ahead. The walls were slick with moisture, glittering like wet glass. Every sound echoed 100-fold. The drip of water, the crunch of gravel, my own breath. It felt like the mountain was whispering my every movement back to me. After 20 paces, I noticed something carved into the stone. Tiny grooves running in patterns, circles, eyes, spirals. Not random, not natural. Someone had written on the walls. I brushed the frost aside with my glove. The markings were fresh, and in between the symbols were words, written in the old tongue. The mirror remembers what the mind forgets. The torch flickered again, and I realized that the walls weren't just wet. They reflected, not perfectly, more like a warped surface, bending light in strange ways. When I lifted the torch, I saw my reflection twist and stretch, my face splitting into a dozen shifting shapes. Each version of me looked wrong. Older, younger, scarred in places I wasn't. Then one of them smiled. I froze. I wasn't smiling. I drew my sword. The sound of steel rang sharp in the cold air, a fragile comfort in that nightmare. But the reflection didn't move as I did. Instead, it leaned forward, eyes glowing faintly. And it spoke. Why do you keep pretending you're the hero? The voice was my own, only colder, tired. Shut up, I muttered, taking a step back. You let her die? My heart hammered. You're not real. It laughed, a low, bitter sound that echoed down the corridor. Neither was she, by the end. I swung the torch at the wall, and for a moment, the reflection vanished. Only my own ragged breathing remained. The passage opened into a wide chamber, and there, scattered across the floor, were fragments of mirror glass. Dozens of them, some small as coins, others large as doors. Each one shimmered faintly in the torchlight. When I stepped closer, I saw faces inside them. Not reflections, memories. In one shard, a young boy chasing a dog through summer grass. In another, a woman smiling, her hair gold in the sunlight. And in the largest piece of all, a burning house, flames dancing in windows. A man outside, screaming a name into the smoke. My name. I fell to my knees. My stomach turned to stone. The mirror wasn't showing me visions. It was showing me my life. All the moments I'd buried under years of blood and silence. Every face I'd failed to save. And there at the center of it all was Lyra. Her image was clear as moonlight. She stood behind me in the reflection, her hand reaching out. When I turned, she wasn't there. But her voice was. Do you even remember what you promised? I closed my eyes, but the sound filled my skull. You said you'd find me. I tried. I whispered. Gods, I tried. No, you ran. The mirrors began to hum, vibrating against the stone, scattering shards of light across the walls. Each reflection shifted, now showing not memories, but possibilities. 100 versions of me, some older, some dead, some kneeling in despair. And in every single one, Lyra stood beside me. Except here, the humming grew louder, like 1,000 voices whispering all at once. Then the air split open. From the largest mirror stepped a figure, tall, cloaked in white, her face hidden beneath a veil of silver threads. The Pale Widow. The story said she lured men to her with the faces of those they'd lost, that she offered them peace and took their souls instead. But when she spoke, her voice was not monstrous. It was gentle, familiar. You came back. I raised my sword, though my hands trembled. Show me your true face. She tilted her head. I already have. The veil dissolved, and there she was, Lyra, her eyes shining like water, her smile both tender and broken. Why are you here? I whispered. Because you called for me. I didn't. Every night you dreamed of me. Every time you killed to forget, I felt it. The mountain heard you. Her words cut deeper than any blade. You wanted forgiveness. You wanted to believe the world would let you move on. But the mirror shows truth, and the truth is this. She stepped closer, and her form flickered like a dying flame. You don't hunt monsters to save others. You hunt them to punish yourself. I couldn't speak. My throat was ash. She raised her hand and touched my chest, right above the heart. Her fingers were warm, too warm. You could stay, she whispered. Here in the mirror, with me. For a moment, I wanted to let it all end in silence, to fall into the illusion and never wake again. But then I saw her reflection falter. Behind her face, for just an instant, the mask slipped, and what looked back at me wasn't human. A thing of ice and shadow, eyes hollow, mouth stretched into an endless scream. The widow. I stepped back and slashed with my sword. Steel met glass, and the mirror shattered with a sound like thunder. Light exploded through the cave, throwing me against the wall. When I opened my eyes, everything was quiet again. The mirrors were gone, the walls smooth and bare. Only the torch lay beside me, still burning. And in its glow, a single reflection remained on the cave wall, mine. But as I stared, it began to smile.